What's going on, guys? Fullst here, and I am back with another video. In today's video, I'll be doing an in-depth Skarner Jungle guide. Skarner won the poll a little bit ago, however, since he got buffed this patch, which are actually very significant buffs and do quite a bit for him, I delayed a little bit, so here we are with the guide, guys. If you guys want to vote for whoever wants to be the next, or for whatever champion is going to be the next guide, make sure to do so. You can click the notification bell, and then in the community tab, you will see when the polls go up. Every poll lasts for 24 hours, so make sure to vote fast. And yeah, also if you guys want to catch me streaming live on Twitch, you can. There's a link in the description. Just make sure to hit me with a follow there if you are interested. Now, with all that being said, let's get right into the guide. Now, for the runes on Skarner, you have basically Phase Rush is the rune, and by far the best rune you could get. There's some people that might think that Predator is good, or maybe Aftershock to be more tanky. However, the Phase Rush procs on Skarner with a Smite and Ultimate, because the Ultimate procs the effect from your jungle item, which also counts as a damage proc. So basically all you have to do is run up to somebody with your W on, then smite them, ultimate, and drag them back with a Phase Rush, like increased move speed. You're a melee champion, so the movement speed is increased. This basically just means that if you blue smite somebody and then drag them back all the way with Phase Rush, you're gonna drag them back like half a lane. So if you were to ult somebody under their mid turret, on the enemy like the enemy mid laner under their turret, you can drag them back to in the middle of their mid lane. Basically, that's how far Skarner can drag somebody back with Phase Rush. This of course becomes a lot better the later you get into the game, because the movement speed scales up. But it's even for an early game, like just having that is already disgusting. Like this is basically every time you have your ultimate up, the Phase Rush will allow you to get a free kill every time, which you will see in the gameplay as well. So that's why I want to get Phase Rush. This is also why I want to get Nimbus Cloak, because it just gives move speed, synergizes really well with just blue smite and everything in general. So you can easily just pick these up for move speed, and then again move speed and move speed. So basically the entire thing here is just move speed. And that's definitely the way you want to go with it, because this will give you like a lot of extra distance. Every single bit of move speed here helps an immense amount in getting free ganks off, free kills in general, and just making good engages and setup for your team, which is what you're looking to do. So that's very straightforward, but this is definitely the setup you want to get, just to engage, just to make picks, just to do everything of that like perfectly. So this, yeah. Now for the secondary tree, this is pretty much just you need to have the Ultimate Hunter rune, really. There's really nothing else that compares to just the value of this one rune on Skarner, because you want to have your ultimate up as much as you possibly can, which means that Ultimate Hunter is going to be by far the best thing you could get. Every ult is a free kill, and if you get to level 11 with Ultimate Hunter, your ultimate's going to have like 45 seconds cooldown, 40 seconds cooldown, something like that. And that's just really, really strong. Now, of course, earlier levels, it's going to be a little bit longer, but still, every single time you ult, it's going to be a free kill if you don't waste it, really. So that's just why this is so strong, and that's why you want to get Ultimate Hunter. Now, for the secondary one here, it kind of just depends. If you're high elo, if you're playing in high elo, then Zombie Ward is good. I'd say anything above like Diamond 3-ish is probably considered to be high elo. And that's where people start to place more wards, start to play a more vision control based game. If you're anything lower than that, then Zombie Ward really is never worth it. And you can just go for Eyeball Collection for a bit more damage. Or maybe Taste of Blood if you want some more sustain. But usually I'd go for like Eyeball Collection here, because it's just a little bit of added damage could never hurt. So the main thing is just getting the Ultimate Hunter rune here. The other one kind of doesn't really matter. Of course, Zombie Ward would be ideal, but that only would be if there are wards being placed. Now for the runes right here, you want to get the attack speed. This helps you in extra jungle clear speed early on. Now of course you do have your shrines at Skarner. If they're called shrines, actually, I'm not sure. You guys know what I mean. You do have those. Those will greatly increase your jungle, or help you with your early jungle clear speed as well, which is very, very good. But this, just a little bit of added attack speed is never gonna hurt. And then just Adaptive Force and then Armor and Magic Resist, basically to like go against whatever jungler you're facing. So if you're facing like an Evelynn, get Magic Resist. If you're facing like Kha'Zix, get Armor. And yeah, that's very straightforward this way. So this is basically the rune setup for Skarner. It's a very straightforward rune setup. It doesn't really differ anything, because this basically allows you to play Skarner to his fullest potential. And yeah, if you guys have any questions on this, make sure to put this in the comments below, and I'll move on to the item build now. Alright, so for the item build on Skarner, you want to start with a Hunter's Talisman and a refillable potion. The reason you want to start with this is because with every single Q, you'll do AoE damage to a camp, which means that 100 settlement is easily procced. Also keeps up your mana sustain and everything like that. So this is by far the one that's going to help you with your jungle clear the most. And then refillable potion is just for some little bit added sustain. You don't necessarily need it on Skarner when it comes to your jungle clear. However, it is good if you get invaded or if you get early fights, because this is 250 extra HP out of a full potion. So that will mean a lot in an early 1v1, and if you're fighting on your shrines, then the early 1v1 is very, very easily won, really, because those are just some great added stats for Skarner. Now, from this point onwards, you just want to rush into a Blue Smite Cinderhulk. This is the jungle item you want to get, there's nothing else. The reason for this is that the Cinderhulk will easily give you an amazing clear speed, because all you have to do to proc it is get one of your passives to proc on it. So basically you just E a camp once, and then you auto attack one of those minions, then it will stun, it will proc the Cinderhulk effect, and basically the camp will die instantly from that point onwards. Also, this will give you a great amount of extra HP, which makes you extremely tanky, but the main thing here is, the moment you run up to somebody, smite them, ult them, the ult will proc because it is a CC, which will proc the Cinderhulk effect. So as long as your Cinderhulk effect is up, you will just proc it, and then it will proc Face Rush. So all you have to do is run up, press smite ult, or just run up with smite, whatever. Press ult, get the Cinderhulk proc on the same hit as your ultimate, and then you Face Rush procs, and you can drag him all the way back through the lane. So that's something you'll see in the gameplay as well. If your Cinderhulk would be down in a situation like that, then you can easily just press 1 Q whilst you're ulting them. That would also work, but it's just this is just a little bit faster, which makes more optimal use of your Face Rush time and everything. So you can drag them even further back. So this is by far the best one you want to get. Also, this stacks really well with your Q damage to get early Dragon Control, Rift Arrow Control, because of the maximum HP and burn damage you'll have. So this is overall by far the best one to get, and there's no variation on Blue Smite Cinderhulk for Skarner. Now your boots can come in the form of Ninja Tabai or Mercs. Mercs are obviously going to be good into CC comps, and Ninja Tabai are just going to be good for tank stats in general. They block more damage than Mercs do, but Mercs do have the tenacity effect that you would need into heavy CC comps, or else you would not be able to make some engages happen. So yeah, now from here on out, there's a couple of things you could build, and it's not very linear, but Skarner doesn't really have a damage option these days. You basically just build like an engaged tank or a supportive tank for your team, because that's just by far the best way to build, especially after the buffs, because they gave him max HP damage on his Q. So really what you need to do is just build for a tanky, build for engaged type of setups, and make sure that you can make the engage for your team and frontline for your team and everything like that. You will do a lot of damage with your maximum HP scaling Q damage, and overall you should be more than fine damage wise. Now for the main items you have, there is an option to go for an Iceborne Gauntlet if you'd like. This will give you a little bit more stick potential in some situations, so if the enemy is very slippery, the Iceborne Gauntlet will be very effective, because they can, you can run up to them with Blue Smite, Iceborne Gauntlet, or in Blue Smite and then ult them backwards, and an Iceborne Gauntlet will basically perma-slow them. You can stick with them with your W on, you can hit your E, everything like that, and this will be an effective option. This is only really something I would pick up if I'm facing very slippery champions, like maybe Talon, maybe stuff like that, stuff that can get away quite easily, maybe a Kassadin with his ultimate. If you have the extra additional slowing effect from this, that will be very beneficial. Also, this item gives 20% CDR, which is very, very effective as well, for more ultimates and just more cooldown in general, which, CDR on Skarner is never bad. The more ultimates you can get off, the better it is. So this is an option you can go for into those situations. It isn't the one I usually pick up. This is more of a specific, as I said, Talon, Kassadin type of situation, where they can get away really easily, and then you really don't have a target that you can effectively ult, if you know what I mean. So basically, yeah, that's the Iceborne Gauntlet. Now, as a main setup on Skarner, as I mentioned earlier, is just engage and supportive engage. Now, stuff like Knight's Vow is insanely strong on Skarner. Some of you might wonder why. Now, well, you can link this to, let's say your AD carry, but if your AD carry has a support that already has Knight's Vow, you can also link it to maybe your top laner or your mid laner or whatever. If the top or mid or, let's say anyone, right? If anyone that you put Knight's Vow on is an engaged champion or likes to start fights. So think, I don't know, maybe I can't think of one on the top of my head. Let's just say you have a Hecarim top lane, whatever. Like Hecarim ults in, you can use the Knight's. Like if you have the Knight's Vow on Hecarim, you will run to them faster. If your partner is nearby, gain 20 additional armor and 15% movement speed towards them, which means that if they engage, you have a much easier time following up. Now this also works the other way around. If you were to run up to the enemy team, and let's say you have your Knight's Vow on your Kai'Sa that's standing behind you, if you run up to the enemy team, grab him with ultimate phase rush and drag him all the way back, you'll get the increased movement speed towards your partner again, which means you drag him back even faster. So you will either go and help engage faster if you have those types of engaged champions on your team, or you can ult and drag him back faster, which makes the pick a lot easier. 15% movement speed is an immense amount. That is so much movement speed. So just make sure that you use it in those situations. Either use it on like a carry that stands in the back to make engages easier, or to use it on an engaged champion on your team that just jumps in and then you can just run to them faster, which is all just really, really good. Also, the unique passes from this, the other one, if your partner is nearby, heal for 12% of the damage your partner deals to champions, and redirect 12% of the damage. That basically just means that you can make your Kai'Sa tankier, or just your Hecarim tankier. That's all the type of stuff that this item just makes it great, because you want to tank damage for your team, but you also want to make the engage possible. This item is by far the highest value for that, and it's only 2200 gold for so much efficiency, and it's just so strong. So this is basically the 3 items. I'll pick up every single game in this order as well. Of course, the boots can vary, but the Knight's Vow is such a strong item for engage potential and also follow-up potential, just everything in general. Also, it helps like your carries be a lot stronger as well. So basically, off this Knight's Vow giving you really the movement speed and everything you could want, you can... If you do need extra additional engage, you can get Righteous Glory right here to help with that even more. However, I don't find Righteous Glory to be very useful on Skarner really, because you do already have Phase Rush, you have Blue Smite, you have your W for an increased movement speed, and you also have the effect from the Knight's Vow that you can help out as well. You have Nimbus Cloak. There's so much already built in move speed that getting the engage shouldn't really be difficult. But again, with this slippery type of example that I had earlier, if you don't necessarily like Iceborne Gauntlet as a pickup, then the Righteous Glory is always still going to be good. It's very good in like tanky stats and everything, and also gives CDR. And of course, the active allows you to just charge at somebody really quickly, and there's absolutely nothing they can do. So this is just another great movement speed item. As you can see, the trend kind of stays the same. It's very movement speed based if you want to go for like early items like this. However, Righteous Glory isn't really the item I pick up a lot, because I find that Knight's Vow with Blue Smite and everything just helps you, like, it's just more than enough to make the engage happen in a lot of situations. So what I do after Knight's Vow usually is I pick up a Warmox, because this basically will give me like a lot of HP, which is very, very useful. And then this will just allow you to tank a lot more damage really. So the Warmox is really good, and then after this you can just build items that give you armor magic resist more so, which is very valuable as well, because the Locket is an extremely strong item to support your team with. If you get this item, you get of course the 30 armor, 60 magic resist for yourself, which is very, very nice. You already have built maybe a lot of armor from these 2 items, or just Knight's Vow and then a Mercs. But then of course 30 extra armor, 60 extra MR, sorry, and then also the active to give your team a massive shield. It's very, very helpful for your team. Again, staying on the supportive type of tank style that Skarner is extremely good at right now. Like, after this buff, he became even more disgusting at this playstyle. So, yeah, just go for this. Now, the final item you want to get in this situation is Stoneplate. This is a very standard Skarner item. It's very supportive in these 2 items. And then also, the Warmox and the Stoneplate will make you extremely tanky. So you can just run up, tank a lot of damage as well with Stoneplate, which is very, very good. Now, this also works currently in combination with the Locket to give you a bigger Locket shield. So if you pop Stoneplate and then pop Locket, then you just give your team an even bigger shield, because it's based off max HP, and it just works really. I was kind of surprised that it worked. I didn't think so, but after testing it, it actually works. So you can go for Stoneplate active into the Locket active for a bigger shield on your team. And yeah, now if you look at this build setup, this is the build setup I'll get in 95% of my games, really. Like, this is more so slippery coverage, if you can call it that. There's no Deadman's Plate here because I don't value Deadman's Plate very highly over a Knight's Vow. Knight's Vow basically gives you the same effect if you use it properly. And you have your W to get around the map and the shrines as well to get around the map really fast anyway. So there's really no issue here. This build is very cheap. As you can see, none of these items really go past the value of a Warmox. So you have 2200 gold for 2 items. And then, of course, these are very, like, everything here is so cheap. So you can easily pick up this build, getting no kills in your game, making just sure that you give the kills to your teammates as much as possible to get them as strong as possible. And this build holds very high value for every single item you can pick up. So yeah, that's basically it for the build on Skarner. If you guys have any questions on this, make sure to put those in the comments below. And I'll move on into the gameplay section now. Alright, welcome to the gameplay section of this guide. As you can see, I am playing Skarner, of course, and this order is wrong. Skarner is currently, after the buffs, an extremely good jungler, actually. He has a lot of engage potential, and he's just a very good supportive tank for your team in general. So, also his jungle clear is extremely good with the shrines. You don't necessarily even need a leash to have a very quick clear. If you can just get these camps down with these shrines, extra like stats that it gives you, it's very easy as well. So yeah. Now, of course, we have a Blitzcrank Chrono team, so that means we want to invade. Or so that's usually the case with Blitzcranks. They always run ahead and go and invade. So, of course, you're going to follow your team in this case. It's whatever. Now they want to get the shrines here. I figured that the enemy would be in this brush at this stage right here, because they just warded over here whilst we walked in. So, yeah. Now, the thing with our team setup is we actually do have a really good chance to beat them early on. Like, we have a high base damages and everything, really, and if we get procs from like Kaisa passive and everything, it's just gonna be very easy. So all we really have to do is make any engage happen, Blitzcrank lands a hook, and this is just like an early game, like, yeah, play. I believe I get 2 kills out of this and do die for it, which is fine. This doesn't really impact anything, really. Like, sure, I get 2 kill lead, and that will give me blue smite. But as far as jungle clear goes, it doesn't really change anything. So, yeah, it's very straightforward still. Now, this game is played at around low diamond, I think, like diamond 4, diamond 3 elo. This like account's MMR is extremely high, so yeah. Now, as you can see, without, like, of course, I do have the extra jungle item right now, so this impacts it a little bit, but even without that, my jungle clear speed will still be extremely good. If all you really need to do is just make sure that you auto attack, keep spamming your Qs, keep spamming your Ws and everything to get shields to stay as healthy as possible, and then stay in your shrine, which you'll see here. You can just kite it back into the shrine and then start hitting it here because you want to get the extra added stats from it and the extra added damage and everything. So basically that's what you see me do here, and this is how you want to clear. Just want to like use Qs as much as possible, really use E's whenever you can, and just stay in your shrine. Now I was a little bit late and a little bit delayed because of the invade, so my jungle clear got a little bit slower. Again, the jungle item didn't really impact it. The 2 kills gave me almost nothing, so it's anyway. But because of the slight like reduction in speed, because of getting no leash and everything like that, you can't full clear before getting the scuttle. Otherwise, you'd be able to easily get a full clear off in time for the scuttle. You might be a couple seconds late, but because of the shrine's increased DPS, you'll be able to get there in time. But because of the no leash type of start now, I had to cut a little bit of corners here to still get to the scuttle, or in this case, well, this guy gets, of course, really low. So if you see something like this happen, you obviously want to run to that lane. So right here, I mean, if I walk like right here, I have more move speed than him, so if I kite him backwards. Now in this case, Blue Smite does help me, but it makes no difference, because if I wouldn't have had Blue Smite, I would have still had my flash for the early start. So I just want to make that clear again. These early 2 kills, if you're gonna say like, oh, but you got 2 early kills, doesn't make a difference. Of course, and Blue Smite gives me the kill in this time around, but Flash would have also given me the kill for the same situation. So there's no difference here. I get the kill on Pantheon for him, and yeah, right off this situation, I'm just gonna charge for the Scuttle Crab to make sure that this guy doesn't get it. The Amumu is never gonna be able to fight me early on. just simply because of how strong Skarner is compared to Amumu in an early fight. So there's nothing he can do. I just killed our top laner, and then he just has to give this one up. He still takes the like shrine there, which is no big deal. Now the other thing here is he's obviously gonna go for the bot scuttle here, but I can't do anything about this. The reason I can't do anything about this is because my Akali is pushed into her lane, and my Kai'Sa is also pushed into the lane as well. So they will not be able to follow if I were to go for this, and their Cassio and their bot lane reset or are off the map right now, so they could easily cover this, and I just have to give it. So I'm not gonna risk anything for it. I'm just gonna clear my camps, hit the level 5 here. And then right here, I'm just going to go and clear my jungle again. Keeping in mind that Skarner has very, very good clear speed, but you need to make sure that you keep clearing your camps as fast and as efficiently as you possibly can to make sure that you hit level 6. Level 6 is your biggest power spike. Level 6 is going to give you a free gank every single ultimate, which is what you are ideally looking for. Now right here, we see the Blitzcrank and everything. We can make the setup like work for us here if he walks up and does it right. He didn't in this case. I don't exactly remember this game, but yeah. He didn't in this case, so it's kind of, yeah, whatever. Tries again. I just wasted quite a bit of time just, like, waiting around for him. In this case, I made a little bit of a mistake there. I don't know what I was doing. Maybe I was alt-tapped or something, but I should be standing in this specific area, not here. Because you always want to get the extra additional stats from your shrine to make sure that you clear your camps faster. So that was a little bit of a misplay there. And yeah, now currently didn't have anything to clear really. I was looking for a mid lane gank. Now the Amumu walked down and went for the dragon, which didn't really work out for him. But now you can see that with these Q buffs and everything, the dragon like damage you have on Skarner, as you can see, it dies really quickly because of the Q damage. It does a lot of damage to dragons and barons and everything because nowhere on this skill, right? If you look at this, Skarner, like 2% of their max HP, which scales up if you max it first, which of course in a maxing order these days you want to max your Q first for all of the extra maximum HP damage you do get. Then you want to max your W second and your E last. Your E is nice and everything, but with these Q buffs now, maxing Q is better. Used to be beforehand that E max first, W max second would be best, but you always want to max your W second still, because you need to have all of that extra movement speed to help you with your engages and everything. So that's better than getting the QE setup, or EQ setup, or whatever. But your Q, of course, as you can see, if struck a unit, he charges himself for 5 seconds, causing Crystal Slash twice, and deal 100% additional magic damage. Now, basic attacks against non-structure low, like, nothing here says that this is reduced damage against monsters. So you can imply that nothing here is reduced against monsters, which means that every single time you hit a Q, you'll get maximum HP damage on a monster, like dragon and everything like that. And your Q is on a very, very low cooldown if you keep attacking and everything. So you actually have really, really good objective clear speed now, and also jungle clear speed as well. So this is actually very, very effective. As you see, I cleared this dragon really, really easily. Of course, my Bami Cinder Burn helped me a bit as well. But yeah, now if you want to, of course, still like steal buffs, always try to make sure that you can be in like the range of a shrine. There are ranges on these shrines that you can see, as you can see right now, this circle lens here. You can stand just on the edge of it and still have the blue buff in range. And as you can see, I have the boosted effects from this shrine while staking his blue buff. So just make sure that you use those corners correctly and use the positioning on this properly to get the extra stats and just to clear the camps a little bit faster. Sticking with the rule of trying to stay inside those circles for the clears as much as possible. Now this is where ganks start to become extremely easy on Skarner, because you now have your ultimate, and this allows you to just get any gank off for free. It doesn't really matter if they have flash, it doesn't matter what they have. The only thing they could get away from you is maybe like a Cassio ultimate with a flash at the same time, so you get stunned and can't chase her. But if you look at the gank situation right here, all I really do is pop my W for the added movement speed. I'm just going to flash up because, I mean, it doesn't matter. If you burn flash, catch them off guard so they can't flash early. And as you see right now, I have the added effects here from my like my stuff procced. In this case, I didn't proc my face. Actually, I did proc my face rush. I look like I didn't proc my face rush, but I did proc my face rush here. So you see, I dragged her back a lot, and from a position, like just from a simple gank, she TP's back the lane, which is very good as well. Actually, I didn't notice that just now. if she TP's back like this and I insta-gank her, she just gets punished extremely hard because she can't really get back to lane after that. Also, this matchup for Akali isn't ideal, and on top of all of this, I believe in the early game, on this game specifically, the Akali got massively screwed over because my Ornn and my Kai'Sa in this game stayed mid lane to clear this wave that was pushing into the turret, which took a lot of experience from Akali. And that basically just meant that she had a permanent experience deficit, as you can see, for literally no reason but her team trolling her. So that was really, really awkward. Now in this case, as you can see, just flash up, I get the proc, I'll drag her back, and from this point onwards, there's absolutely nothing she can do. She can ult, sure. She could flash this way, I suppose. But from right here on, if you're in this position as a as the enemy mid laner and you get dragged here, you can't escape. If you flash, you waste your flash because it's easily chaseable. If you ult, like she does right now, she could get off a little bit of damage here. But overall, there's nothing she could have done. So that's why I guess she just didn't use flash, because it was really not going to help her at all. Now, here again, keeping your jungle clear speed going wherever you can. And yeah, I think in this situation, the Pantheon is extremely far pushed up. Again, I do want to mention that clearing your jungle on Skarner is obviously good, but you are playing a supportive, engaged type of tank. You want to get your team as far ahead as possible, even if that costs you a little bit of experience. Of course, if there's downtime and everything, you want to farm, but it's not worth taking these two camps over killing Pantheon right here, basically. Like, maybe on a scaling jungler like Carthage or something, like something that farms really fast, whatever. Taking these two camps before the gank would be worth it, but with Skarner, it's just not. You want to make sure that you just gank that as soon as possible. Even if you leave some of your camps standing, you can always come back for it, so there should be no issues there. Now here, Pantheon just overextended and basically just dies for free. And yeah, so the early ganks so far have been going really well. Also keeping up with my farm. I have 50 CS currently, which is okay. It's not ideal. You could have more, but it's not bad at all. And just this is the key thing here, that you need to keep the experience and clear going, because every single ult spike, every single level spike from ultimate, so 6, 11, 16, is high value on Skarner. So you want to clear for that mainly. Of course, added base stats and everything are nice, but if you just have those extra stats there, that's the best thing for you. So Pantheon roam from top lane to bot lane. There's not much to be done there. I'm just going to clear my camps. I'm also going to skip this one for this simple reason that they have complete pressure here. Pantheon's there, Twitch and Yuumi are there in the region as well. And my Blitzcrank and Kai'Sa are in the round, so there's no reason for me to walk here and face check that to get killed, basically. That's just not worth it. Now again, as you can see, my ultimate is up, which basically means that as soon as Casio slightly walks up into the lane, I'm going to kill her. Because I have Blue Smite, I have my W, there's no way she can outrun me. If she has Flash, then sure, but yeah. Now, as you can see right here, the disgustingness that is Skarner with Nimbus and Phase Rush, this is why these ganks are so broken and so strong. And this is why I engage Skarner now, especially after the buffs, that he actually has a lot of damage on this type of Skarner build. It's completely disgusting. So right here, I'm just going to play this in slow motion for you guys, just for the hell of it. So I smite him here. That basically allows me to walk up to him with the Blue Smite Nimbus Cloak combination. Then I ult him, which procs my Immobilate effect from my Cinderhawk, which gives me an extra proc. This procs my Phase Rush in turn, but now my Blue Smite and my Nimbus Cloak are still in effect. So as you can see, the distance that I drag him back, in this case, is extremely high. Now on the edge of your distance, to get a little bit of extra positioning and also extra distance backwards, you want to make sure you turn around, which is what you saw me do right here. This is a very simple engage thing that you need to know on Skarner. You need to know how far you're going to drag people back, how long your ultimate lasts, and right at the edge, at the last second, you see me turn around. So I have the positional advantage on her. She also gets put back a little bit further, because if I were to walk back, she would still get put in this position. However, if I turn around like this, I'm going to be ahead of her, which means she'd have to walk through me instead of walk away from me. This basically means that her flash distance, if she were to flash from here to, from here this way, she would flash maybe right here, which wouldn't really give her any distance. And this is why this position and that little bit of a flip is very, very important. Now basically at that point, there's nothing she can do anymore. She just dies for free again. She still has flash, doesn't matter, couldn't have used it anyway. So yeah, she could have used it really early here to prevent me from getting the ultimate off, but I don't think she was expecting to get dragged back that far. So yeah, she must have caught her off guard, caught her by surprise there a little bit. Alright, I mean at this stage, like, your damage is actually very, very high. I do have the Cinderhawk as well, so just don't underestimate your 1v1 potential. I'm facing a Pantheon here. Of course he doesn't have his Blade of the Rune King yet. If he had his Blade, then this might have turned out a little bit different, but overall, 1v1 situations, especially in your shrines, is easy. Like, there's no issue here. So as you can see right here, I do also have red buff, by the way, but every single Q just does a good chunk of damage to his maximum HP. All of this added damage, as you can see, like, he basically does no damage back to me. And I just completely shred him. I'm extremely tanky, and I do have a lot of burn damage and everything. So it's a very easy 1v1 situation. Now, this would have probably turned out a little bit different if he did have Blade of the Rune King, but he didn't in this case. Also, I do have 5 kills, so I'm pretty strong. Now, basically, all of those 5 kills, I mean, the early 2 don't really count in a normal game, but yeah. So, we pick up the Rift Herald here. Again, objective control is very, very key and very easy on Skarner now after the Q buffs for the maximum HP damage and also the burn damage from your jungle item. So getting Dragon control and getting the Rift Herald control is very important, and that's definitely something you need to look for. If turrets are low on plate, so right now, with this Rift Herald, I could go to either mid lane or top lane. However, I just killed a Pantheon, and this Pantheon doesn't have teleport, which means that the top turret is basically free to pick up as a first turret. So that's what I'm basically going to do. I'm just going to use the Rift Herald for top turret here, get that down really quickly, and then from that on. Right now, I wanted to back initially, but Pantheon kind of just walks up. My ultimate's up anyway, and I just use my ultimate right there, drag him back, drag him into a position where he can't escape from, and then get the other turret here as well with the Rift Herald. So again, a perfect example of Skarner ultimate being completely disgusting. There was nothing he could do. The moment he got dragged back to this point right here, he's already dead. So this is just turning out like really, really well. This usually happens as well. It's not like a game like this where I'm very fed or I'm just making my team like very fed or get them ahead and everything. Now in this specific game, like, they weren't playing too great. Like, they were getting out 2v2'd and everything. They put Akali behind massively as well with the experience disadvantage in the early game, and of course Pantheon into Ornn is basically just going to be perma pushed in. So yeah. It was up to me to make plays happen this game, and that's also partially why this game is the one I'm showing, because of the proactiveness that you need to show. And like you can see, the plays I'm making, right? I'm making sure that I get farm, but I also make sure that I punish people pushing up and keep using my ultimate on priority targets. Now, one of the great things about Skarner ultimate, and just being Skarner in general, there's a lot of people that will just start buying QSS into you. Which, if you have Ultimate Hunter and just a little bit of CDR, doesn't really matter, because your ultimate has a 40-second cooldown later in the game, even lower sometimes. The more CDR you have, of course, you can get to 35, I believe. QSS has a 90-second cooldown, so you just ult them once, they QSS it instantly, you walk away, you wait a little bit and just ult them again, and they're basically dead. So anyone that really buys a QSS is kind of just wasting their gold, which is obviously ideal. And also, some people buy QSS on weird champions. Like, I believe in this case, the Cassio is like, I'm not dealing with this shit anymore, I'm gonna buy a QSS. Which, on Cassio, obviously isn't ideal. That's 1300 gold just to block out from one ultimate. So that's obviously very, very good for me. I'm looking for a ultimate position again. Now, however, in here, we see the Amumu on the bot side. The Blitzcrank, I believe, hooks him over. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I need to obviously react to a play here, because there's nothing I can get here. I need to get to the play, or on his bot side as well. And the way you want to play these team fights, basically, is you just want to make sure that you go and ult priority targets. If people are already caught out by your team, so like in this case, the Blitzcrank hooks the Twitch towards us, then you want to make sure that you use your ultimate for CC lock. You want to use it on priority targets, which in this entire team fight is going to be the Twitch. He's going to deal the most damage, so he needs to be locked down and killed as soon as possible. So he hooks him in, and basically what I do off of that, I instantly ult him to completely CC chain this guy down. That's the key thing here. My goal isn't really to get any kills. If my team gets the kills, that's better. This hasn't been turning out too great for me this game, but it happens. You get the kills here and there, which is fine. But as you saw in that fight, I basically use my ult to CC lock down the Twitch. If you don't have to make the engage with your ultimate, don't hang on to it. Make sure that you use it as a CC chain. You can also use your E stun and then ult and everything like that, just to CC chain and just to make sure that they are not able to deal any damage. If they don't have QSS, this is of course very, very easy, or the support doesn't have Mikaels or whatever, then your ultimate is going to CC chain him, and also you can reposition him really easily. So let's say he's hitting the front line of the team and you want to just get him into the back line really quickly to like get him insta-killed by your damage carries, then you can just ult him as well, even though he's already in your face, and you probably could CC him with your E. Just want to ult him, drag him a little bit back towards your carries, and then he gets one shot. So that's just the way you want to use Skarner ultimates. Don't just use it for a massive pick off, like don't just use it to, let's say someone, like ult someone here and your team is right here, so you can run up, ult and run back. You can, like, if you are only going to use it for those situations, then it's obviously not bad. But in situations in team fights, you just want to make sure that priority targets deal as little damage to your team as possible, of course. And right here, I was like, maybe I could fight this. On the other hand, it wasn't really going to be worth it because we didn't know where Twitch was. So just walk away from that situation. Now I'm already fairly strong. I have Knight's Vow and everything, so I'm going to be very good to support one of my carries with. In this case, probably going to be the Akali until the Kai'Sa starts getting more items. So yeah. Also, just you want to use it for like positions where you need to have an engage going. So if I were to, like, you can have it on somebody, just in general, just to AFK it on them kind of, and then switch it in the team fight when you actually do need to do it. But if I just keep it on my Akali right now, Akali is one of those champions that tends to jump in and place a Shroud on top of the enemy team, so this will allow me to run towards her a lot faster and then also get there if she makes a play like that happen. So that's why I'm keeping it on her. But if I want to make a catch and somebody is standing behind me, then I can easily quickly swap my Knight's Vow to the dude that's next to me or behind me, and then make the catch with my ultimate, run up, run back, and drag him back faster towards my ally that I just Knight's Vowed there. So don't just AFK it the entire game on one of your teammates. That's not the way you want to play with this Knight's Vow. You need to make sure that you use it as effectively as possible to get those extra mobility advantages, really. Now, the Ornn and the Akali dive the Casio here, which I wouldn't say is very worth it, but yeah. Alright, so Pantheon in top lane here pushes up a little bit too far, which basically means we can just chase him down. I don't necessarily want to use my ultimate, as I do have it up in this case, and it's a fairly low cooldown, 52 seconds, as you can see. But if in situations where you don't have to use your ultimate, just don't use your ultimate, because you definitely don't want to be wasting your ultimate cooldown whatsoever. That's just not a good play in any situation. If you don't have to use it, if it's not a priority or anything, just don't use it. Alright. Dragon will be spawning shortly, so we definitely need to make sure we look towards playing for this dragon. All I really have to do is just look for any type of catch. Now, of course, my team is very far back into the base right now, so there's really not much of a catch to be made at the moment. So I'm just going to play it like very slow, just kind of zone them away a little bit. And yeah, look for an opening, really. So Pantheon and the Ornn are top lane, and if we just go for this dragon, we should be fine. Now this Casio walks up in this situation, and I mean, I came to find out right there that she bought a QSS, which is fine. I mean, this doesn't change anything. This only gives her, like, this item is 1300 gold, I believe, which allows her to live from one of my ultimates, because if she wouldn't have had it right there, she would have died to my ultimate 100% guaranteed. But yeah. So I walk up, but the thing here is, as you can see, this guy has a 90 second cooldown, and mine has 52, so I can actually do it again right before it's up, which I believe will be shown in the game later as well. Now this is one of those examples. The Akali goes in, places her Shroud. I'll go back a little bit. This is why Knight's Vow is very, very, very good. Now I don't have my ultimate after using it on Casio right here. She QSS's it, which is fine. Didn't expect that, but as soon as you see somebody have the QSS, try to pick for other targets. So if she has QSS, I can just try to go for the Twitch, or maybe try to go for the Pantheon. Just something that doesn't have QSS, because they probably won't all build it. If they all have it, then you're just gonna have to go for it. I mean, at that point, it's just what has to be done, and then you just wait out the cooldown for it. So your ultimate will be a much lower cooldown, and yeah. Now the Akali right here makes a position to dive in. The Shroud will stall a lot of time, but I have my Knight's Vow on the Akali right now. So actually, as you can see, I'm running towards her a lot faster, which basically allows me to get in position to do damage to the Twitch and to make sure that I can back her up with some CC and some slowing effects. So this is where Knight's Vow again shows how strong it is. If you can AFK it on champions that go in initially, if you don't have it to help you pull back somebody, then having it on champions that go in like Akali, as you just saw, allows you to walk up into that fight a lot faster, 15% extra movement speed. Also, this will allow you to tank damage for your teammate that is in that position a lot easier as well. And overall, it's just very, very good to like support their type of playstyle of diving in. So right here, Cassio gets caught and then Yuumi also dies, which is very, very nice. It's a good play from the Akali right there, making that engage, and then also me having Knight's Vow to follow that up. If I wouldn't have had Knight's Vow, I probably wouldn't have been in time there to make a follow-up happen. I would have been a couple seconds late, which could have made a big difference. Now, as you can see, I pick up the Warmox, and as you can see from my HP bar right now, can I move the chat up a bit? Or away, I guess. As you can see, I passed the 3k mark the moment you pick this up. Basically, I'm level 12. Right the moment you get this, you're going to pass the 3k HP mark, which gives you Warmox hard, and that's going to give you the sustain. So at this point, I can go in, tank a lot of damage, and then sustain everything back up with Warmox if you just go in and out perfectly, and yeah, just make sure you take advantage of the healing effect from that. So tank as much damage as possible, but also just don't die and walk out so you can heal back up, and yeah. Now, all I'm really looking for at this stage in the game as a Skarner is you want to go for vision control. So make sure you have the control wards on you. I have 2 control wards. I have the sweeping trinket. You want to make sure that you clear wards and make catches happen. Because at this stage in the game, if I can get an ultimate off on the Twitch, now of course he does also have the QSS, so it's whatever. But if you can make a catch happen on the Twitch or anything, game is just instantly over. And yeah, that's really that. Now, I'm looking in this case to go for the Baron. I have the Bounty Cinder, I have my Q maxed, which means that my maximum HP damage on Baron is going to actually do a lot. So we can definitely look towards doing this Baron quite easily. And I can easily tank it as well, simply because I have Warmox. If I tank Baron and lose a lot of my HP, I can just go and walk away for just a little bit, heal back up with Warmox and come back in. So that's something you can definitely make sure use of as well. Now, sadly, Blitzcrank misses his hook on the Amumu right here, which... yeah, could have been a very nice pick-off into an instant Baron, but oh well. And making sure that I get blue. In this case, I keep getting blue buffs, not because I need the mana, but because it gives me CDR. And no one on this team really has a great use of blue buff. It's decent on Akali, but the extra 10% CDR that blue gives is actually very valuable on you as well for more ult cooldown. Because as you can see right now, my ultimate cooldown is on 45.5 seconds. And this is still a rank 2 ultimate, not even a rank 3 ultimate yet. So this is going to go even lower. And that basically just means that the lower this is, the easier it's going to be to make catches happen for your team situations and for team fights in general. So yeah. Alright, so currently again, I just basically, well, this guy kind of makes the engage happen for me, which is also fine. He goes for the Amumu, which isn't the best target he could have gone for. Because if you hook an Amumu into your team and he gets a free ultimate off, that is not ideal, I'd say. Because that's probably the best situation for them. The Pantheon jumps in. Now, look at the way you want to play fights like this. This is another perfect example of a different type of fight instead of you engaging it or like you already getting a pick off on somebody specifically. This is the other variation of team fights, and that's why this gameplay is so good, because it had so many variations for every single fight, really. So right here, the engage happens, and this is perfectly a peel type of playstyle. Currently, yeah, right here. Just, he goes in, alright. He gets the ultimate off on 2 targets of us, which isn't that bad. Now, Pantheon ult comes in, as you can see. Look at the positioning currently. The Twitch and the Amumu are back here. They are basically being zoned by Ornn. The Cassio is in a position where they would not be able to do damage to anyone, really. My Akali is right here, and my Kai'Sa is right here. The only threat that's jumping in right now, of course, he probably won't do that much damage, but let's just assume that he has a lot more damage. The only threat that jumps in is Pantheon, and that's really the only target I have an effective use for my ultimate for right now. I definitely want to make sure you use it to like drag him back, positioning away from his team, and to allow my Kai'Sa and my Kali to basically do free damage to him. This is a very peel type of playstyle for team fights. If you are standing on top of your carries, if you are standing on top of your Kai'Sa or your Akali, then you can use your ultimate to make sure that any target that jumps on them, like a Rengar, like a Pantheon, like Kha'Zix, or just champions that want to engage on them by jumping on them, Hecarim, whatever you can think of, just ult them instantly and then allow them to do free damage to them. And from that point onwards, you can look towards frontlining a bit more. As you can see, I also switched my Knight's Vow to the Kai'Sa here because of the, like, she has more risk of dying than the Akali does. So again, keeping in mind to switch your Knight's Vow in team fights to make sure that your Kai'Sa will be able to do damage and everything. And yeah. And my ultimate's gonna be up quite soon again. Really, I'm kind of just waiting for that. We kind of want to reset off of that. We kind of won that team fight already, so there's no real reason to overextend and greed for something that isn't going to happen. Now here I was looking for another ultimate catch. If I can get my ultimate on the Amumu or the Twitch, I could get a free kill. And yeah. Just looking for any catch really. Anything I can ult. Again, ult the Cassio, she QSSs it instantly, which is fine. Because I trade a 90-second cooldown for a 43-second cooldown. So it's not a big deal here. Pantheon comes in from behind. Cassio can't walk up really anymore, that team. So Pantheon gets caught out. And yeah, they dive really far between two turrets, which I wouldn't do because of not having a minion wave. So it could get kind of awkward. But we want to get this turret, and because we killed them, we can also open up the base and get the other turret. Now this is the perfect example actually, right here, this ultimate. This is the cooldown difference. So as you can see, if someone buys QSS, 90-second cooldown. My ultimate, 52-second cooldown currently, which means that my ultimate is going to be lower cooldown than her QSS. Which means the moment I get this back instantly, if I just use it on her again, which is something I did earlier, you can catch him and there's nothing you can do. So you'll see right here, I just go up, flash blue smite, drag him back with phase rush. Yuumi is on him right there as well. She probably should have gone out of her, but I don't know. So she gets dragged back as well. That's a great thing about Yuumi if you are playing Skarner. Because if you are facing a Yuumi and you drag the target back that Yuumi is on, you basically get a double kill for one ultimate, which is definitely ideal. Here, as you can see, again, in this situation, somewhere along this entire fight, I switched back to this guy because he was around, and my Kai'Sa wasn't, so switching Knight's Vow, keeping that in mind for extra healing for them and everything. Because as you can see, the damage redirection is very, like, it's a good amount, and the healing received is like 1000 health, which is quite a significant amount of healing as well. So keeping the priority switch on the Knight's Vow going is very, very important. Pick up Drake here, get the Infernal Drag. This is all off of the objective control with Skarner. You can easily do this if you just pick up the Shrine on any type of objective and you just have the Q max and then also the Cinderhulk effect. You burn the dragon and everything down very, very fast anyway. So yeah. Now here I pick up the Locket, which is going to give my team an even bigger shield, also make me even more tanky. And my goal right here is just to soak as much damage as possible and just give my team as much damage. Reduce the damage on them as much as possible. Now, right here, I'm just going to start Baron. As you can see, the damage I have on Baron is fairly high with the Qs and the Bami Cinder. I burn it down reasonably fast, especially since I'm building a full tank. So this damage right here is mainly from my burn damage. Now, the moment Kai'Sa comes in, of course, the damage starts to go up really, really fast. But my damage right there really wasn't bad at all for a full tank build setup. And that's just that Q damage coming in with the Cinderhulk burn. Now, right, actually, in this fight, as you can see, so the moment I switch my Knight's Vow here, so it's currently on this guy. Now, currently my Kai'Sa is ahead of me, and she's walking pretty fast. So if I just use it on her in this position, I can run to her a little bit faster, which gives me move speed. But I also figured that the Kai'Sa with her ultimate, if the Ornn gets any type of CC off, is gonna ult in. Which basically means that right here, she ults in. And this Knight's Vow that I currently have on her basically allows me to follow this up. Follow to wherever she is going. This is why Knight's Vow is so good, especially if you have like Kai'Sa or in your team or just champions that jump forward. Because then you can follow this up, have the Knight's Vow on her. I'm around, which means basically your auto attacks get like amplified as well, which is good. And yeah, damage redirection as well. So she can jump in with a lot less risk, and that's really what you want to look for. Now, of course, in this fight, I also use Locket to give my team an additional shield. As you can see, this shield's for an added 311. This does double if you have the Stone Plate as well. So that actually gives quite a significant amount of shielding if you use it at a good time. This basically just allowed my team to easily survive this team fight, basically 5 for nothing. And yeah. It's a very supportive, engaged type of Skarner playstyle, as you saw. My team didn't really do too great in the early game. I was basically just helping them through it. But if you get to a certain stage in a game and you can make catches happen, then of course, as you can see, you can get your teammates fed. And the Akali actually did get fed off of this in the end by just good engages, good catches, and just giving her kills on mid lane and everything. And that's really how you want to play Skarner. Just play very farm-based, play, like, punish aggression from the enemy laners. And then as soon as you have your ultimate up, you want to make sure you use that as much as possible. And that's really it. So, yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this guide on Skarner. If you did, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. This does help me out quite a bit. Also, if you guys just want to follow me streaming live on Twitch, you can. There's a link in the description. Make sure to just hit a follow there if you want to. And, yeah, see you guys in the next video. Bye!